break. That's the nothing personal word of the day. It is Monday, July 14th, otherwise known in my old days as Bastille Day. But Monday, July 14th, 2025, and I'm talking about a break that is much needed by all 30 Major League Baseball teams. Every single player on every single team, every manager, every GM, every president. We are all excited for the All-Star break. It doesn't mean it's the end of the first half. Don't listen to anyone who says that. You know we've done the math on nothing personal. The first half would have been 81 games out of 162. Teams have played like 96 games. We're well into the second half of the season. So the pre-All-Star break part of the season is over. The post-All-Star break part of the season that will include the trade deadline in only 17 days will be upon us starting Friday. There will be no games until Friday, the 18th of July. There used to be a couple of teams that had to play on Thursday of All-Star week, but the new collective bargaining agreement got rid of that because players like their break. And the All-Stars, once they're done Tuesday, as you heard from Bobby Valentine during a recent interview on Nothing Personal, it is rare to get a player to wait to the end of the game other than the 9 players who are playing the end of the game. Everyone else bails so they can start their break. You see players look forward to this because they've been going pretty much without more than a day off since the middle of February. Not more than one day off in a row, assuming no injury. When the break comes, it doesn't matter whether you've won 10 in a row or lost 10 in a row. It doesn't matter if you're hot or cold. Not one team says, oh, I wish we could just keep going. We've won 10 in a row. Let's go. Even the Red Sox ready for a break. I want to mention in my head something that happens to people who spend a lot of time together. We read a lot and we talk a lot on this show about issues in the clubhouse, things that are going on with the front office, with the manager, with the GM, the tensions that exist. It always gets more acute as you head into the All-Star break than it had at any point up to that, even when things bubble to the surface and team meetings are necessary. Because it's like a horse sensing the barn after a long race. You tend to go faster. When you are getting close to the All-Star break, what happens inside that clubhouse is everyone is just ready. We're ready here. I wanted to give you the observations in my head that have been going on the first part of the season. The pre-All-Star break part of the season. And I'm starting up in Boston, not because of you, Chris, not because of you, Will, because the Red Sox are the hottest team in baseball. And to me, they're the biggest story in baseball. Because when Craig Breslow traded Rafi Devers and told us that he would win more games than he would lose at the end of the season when they looked back because of this trade, and people were all over Breslow like he had put the in incompetence. People were furious with John Henry, throwing away the season. How could you trade Devers? All of the things that were said because none of the people saying them have actually ever traded a player. What we tried to focus you on was the addition by subtraction. Those were the words we used. We were trying to explain to you, like yelling into the wind surrounded by seagulls and crows. But we were trying to tell you that sometimes it doesn't matter what the return is because the return is actually getting rid of the player you are trading. Sometimes because of money, sometimes because of clubhouse considerations, or even performance. Heaven forbid you trade someone who's just not performing for you, who you have to pay a tremendous amount of money to. You're going to hear this throughout the show today, the theme of Spending money ought to make you happy enough, because God knows when we don't spend money, you're angry. So spending money ought to be all that matters, except you get angry when you spend money and don't win, and you don't get credit when you don't spend money and do win because you could have won more. Am I frustrated on a Monday morning? You bet your sweet bippy I am. I'm not going to do the victory lap for Breslow. It's early. I'm not going to do the victory lap for myself. It's early. But I'm going to tell you that the Red Sox are 15-9 since they traded Devers. The Giants are only 11-13. I'm going to tell you that the Red Sox are heading into this All-Star break up in third place behind the Blue Jays and Yankees. But take a look at the wild card standings, and you may just find them there. You may find that they've got quite a few All-Stars who are willing to pitch in the game, so are there. You may find that it's a team that has a level of cohesion that they didn't have with Devers. And the naysayers, the Yankee fans out there, are saying, oh, look at their schedule. Look who they were beating. Look who they have to play after the break. And none of it is relevant to me. What is relevant is that these baseball people, when you're living with players, you tend to make the right decisions no matter how unpopular they are. They're chasing the Toronto Blue Jays, who have a 2-game lead over the Yankees. Toronto had a unique opportunity heading into the break to create some distance from the Yankees and Red Sox, and it didn't work. They were playing the White Sox and then the Athletics, and they ended up going 3-3 on that 6-game trip to end the first pre-All-Star break part of the season. And the Yankees had won a bunch of games. They ended up losing their last 2 to the Cubs, but they were able to close the gap on the Blue Jays instead of the Blue Jays widening the gap. I want to have you understand what a 2-game lead is, because it's a little different when we look at it from inside baseball versus just looking at the stands and saying, oh, we're 2 games back, or oh, we're 2 games up. We are looking at the team we are chasing. We're looking at their schedule. We're looking at their numbers. We're analyzing whether or not they are there legitimately, whether they are there temporarily, whether they can be caught or can't. The Blue Jays and Yankees are going through this now, as the Yankees are rumored. I don't know if you saw it, Coke. It was great. I think it was John Heyman. Yankees expected to make big moves. I don't want to give John credit for something if it's not him. I'm sorry, but it may be him. Yankees expecting big moves at the deadline. I always like it when teams make big moves. That's what we tried to do. And then I remind everybody, which you're going to hear me do from now till July 31st, and then again in September, and then again in October. I will keep mentioning these names until this show ends in 20 years. Adam Duvall, Rosario, Soler. Terrible trade deadline for the Braves. They won a World Series with those guys. So stop with the, oh, we're getting big names. We got to get big names. The New York Yankees are 5th right now in the American League in defense. They're 7th in ERA. They're 4th in average. That seems mediocre. They're 1st in home runs, 1st in runs scored, 1st in OPS, and they've got a +111 run differential. Not too shabby on the offensive side. It's why people are saying, hey, if you could just get Eugenio Suarez and you can get him over from the Diamondbacks and you put him in this lineup, we've got Stanton back. Even though Volpe can't hit and can't field, it doesn't matter. We can win it. We're going to club people to death. Well, I think that teams have learned that that's not the way to do it. You have to have pitching. 7th in ERA means you are an average pitching staff. And that's what the Yankees have. The Blue Jays, on the other hand, are 1st in average. Way to go. But 12th in home runs, 6th in runs scored, 5th in OPS with a terrible pitching staff, 12th in ERA, and a terrible defense, 9th in defense. So the Blue Jays are looking right now and they're saying, well, we're in 1st place but our run differential compared to the Yankees is mediocre. Their offense is way better. It's not that our pitching is shining. Even the Yankees have better pitching. Therefore, we have two choices. If we want to maintain our lead in the post-All-Star break part of the season, we are going to have to be aggressive at the trade deadline because we are being chased by the hottest team in baseball, the Red Sox, and a team that, looking at the numbers and looking at the team, we have the feeling they're going to catch us. My view is, if you wanted to give me a choice, who would I be right now? I'd still rather be the Blue Jays. I'd still rather be the Red Sox, and that has nothing to do with my preseason pick of the Yankees not making the playoffs. I'm literally looking at the teams, looking at almost 100 games of action and telling you where I'd stand. As a matter of fact, before this week ends, we'll make sure that we refresh and re-up. God, those are two great words. They're great in the theater. They're great on TV. They're great at a party. They're great everywhere. Refresh and re-up the preseason picks that we made and take a quick peeky as to how we're doing. But I feel really good if I'm the Blue Jays. That said, they got to make a big move before the 31st. I'm just kidding. It doesn't have to be big. Come on, you know what I'm saying. All right, Milwaukee. This is all you, baby. Milwaukee is HO triple. I love Milwaukee. I tried to not put him in this segment because I don't want people to think, oh, he's such a Wisconsin homer. Are you paying attention to the Brewers? Are you paying attention to the fact that they're one game back of the Cubs? They've won 7 in a row. Just curious. Are you aware? Can you name the starters after Freddie Peralta? Any idea? If you're a Mets fan, you could probably name their 4th starter. Can you name the new guy? You must have heard of him. We're going to talk about him later in the show. Jacob Misirowoski. Know that name? The guy who throws 150 miles an hour. I'll bet you $1 you don't know who Chad Patrick is. Bet you another $1 you don't know who Quinn Priester is. But what you should know is Yelly. What you should know is that the Brewers don't have Adames anymore. They don't have Hader, Williams. They graduate people all the time. Their payroll is low, and they win. Sounds like I'm describing the Tampa Bay Rays, doesn't it? So many organizations wanted to become the Rays. How do we do it? How do we win with a low payroll in a smaller market with low revenue? The Rays always seem to do it. Let's hire people from the Rays and see if it works. And then it doesn't work. But sometimes, once in a while, you get Matt Arnold. I have to put a proviso that I interviewed Matt Arnold to take over a baseball organization, did not hire him. Even though we thought he was going to be phenomenal, we thought at that moment he was not ready. He then, years later, got ready. He moved into Milwaukee and then took over when Stearns left. And guess what? He's on his way to being executive of the year. The hardest job an executive has, and it's not really close. It's not getting along with the manager. It's not getting along with the owner. It's not getting along with the players. It's not managing the hundreds of people you have to manage and the multi-million-dollar budget you have to manage. Not any of that. The hardest thing is in listening to the right people when they are telling you an evaluation of a player. That may sound strange because you may say to me, aren't GMs the best evaluators in the organization? Isn't that what they're paid for? And my answer is no, not even close. There's not one GM of any team who's the best evaluator on that team. And I'm talking about talent evaluator. You've got your go-to guys that you listen to them. I can't tell you. I mean, we're going to go inside baseball, Coca, and I'm sorry to lift the shades off this kimono to mix that metaphor. Do you know that GMs trade for players they've never heard of or seen all the time? All the time. All these prospect trades, all these guys in low A, single A from another organization, GMs haven't seen them. They may say they have. They may say, oh, we watched video. Oh, we got a video compilation of 12 at-bats. They haven't seen him up close and personal in person. GMs are famous for saying, oh, I flew to Japan myself to talk to Yamamoto or to Sasaki. Oh, I went to Cuba and watched, or we didn't go to Cuba, it was the Dominican or wherever he was, to see Cespedes do a workout. Like that gave us credibility to tell you that Cespedes was going to be good when we lost him to the Oakland A's for a couple of shekels. It's eyewash down at the bottom with guys and girls, but mostly guys who are not making a lot of money. They are grinding it on the road, looking at players. They are going through the system of other pro teams, all the way from single A up to triple A, up to the big leagues. They are looking and scouting and then giving recommendations, whether the recommendation is through analytics, whether it's through your eyes, whether it's through both. Then GMs decide, okay, we're ready to make a move. The most important skill that Matt Arnold and others that they have is the ability to choose right more often than they choose wrong. The Brewers also are able to do something that the Rays can do that the Dodgers can't, that many teams can't do because they don't know how to do it. And that is to trade a player a year too early instead of a year too late. Now, sometimes you could say the Brewers are forced to do it because of payroll. I always used to agree with that it's much easier to be the Rays when you're the Rays. Let me see you do it when you don't have to be forced into making a financial decision. And then I watched Andrew Friedman at the Dodgers, and that was the other extreme, where not only are you not forced to make a financial decision, you actually make the opposite of a sound financial decision because you've got that much FU money to go around. The Brewers have to be disciplined, and if you have to be disciplined, you have to have someone in charge who is able to surround himself and listen to the right people and be right about choosing those people. And the Brewers have done it. We'll see what happens as they chase the Cubs going forward. But that's a race. I like that race more than the Blue Jays, Red Sox, Yankees race. You can't mention the break without mentioning the Colorado Rockies. The Colorado Rockies are on schedule to win 37 games. 37. They are 22-74. The math would tell you they will finish 37-125. That would be the record for the worst team in the history of baseball, a record held by the Chicago White Sox for a total of, wait for it, they set it in October. It is now July. The gestation period of a human baby. That's it. And believe me, that goes fast. Even the White Sox were 27-71 at this point. That's after 98 games. Right now, the Rockies have played 96. If they win the next two, they'd be 24-74. They'd be 3 games off the White Sox pace. The Colorado Rockies have some work to do. So here's how the post-break is going to look for them. The newly in charge executive VP is the son of Dick Monfort. We've read that Charlie Monfort, who got kicked out of the partnership, he and his brother used to own it. Charlie was then not allowed to operate it for any period of time. Now Charlie's dipping his toes back in, and Dick is sort of stepping away, giving more responsibility to his son. Well, if that troika ever sits in a room together, which they do, here is what the conversation needs to be. I don't care what we do. I don't care how many games we lose. It can't be 121. We have to manage this season to do anything to get to 120 losses only. Having the record for the worst team in the history of baseball, it stays with you. because the odds, even in this day and age where there's some bad teams, of the Rockies getting as lucky as the White Sox are trying to get right now, those odds are teensy-tiny, and I'm not going to bank on it. I'm going to manage the Rockies as though we are a playoff team. I'm going to make moves for the Rockies with an eye toward losing 120. The reason why that becomes so important, to find a way to win 20 games after the All-Star break. I'm going to map it out. I'm going to look through every series. Where can I find 20 games through the end of the season? Because I lost 100 games once in my career, 2013. It stinks. But if you've been around for 18 years, if you're not the Yankees, you're going to likely have a bad season in there. We had one season where we lost 100 on the nose. I believe, Coco, we were 62-100 in 2013. I don't know how I can describe to you how badly I needed to win 2 out of 3 in the final series that year because I wanted to not lose 100 because I thought that was a stigma, and I still do, actually. But losing the record number, totally different stigma. So the Rockies are a team that I am watching in the second half. What about players? We're going through this show and thinking about the break and thinking about the first part of the season, trying to come up with which player would be the top focus. When we say pre-All-Star Break 2025 season, who do you say? Who's the name you associate it with? And we struggle because, to me, there's 2 names, maybe 3. Sort of like bidding in spades. I got 2, maybe 3. Or hearts. I don't know how you have a conversation other than around Aaron Judge, Cal Raleigh, and Shohei Ohtani. I just don't know how you do it. You could talk about some of the other hitters who are out there because people are just hitting bombs, no doubt. We could talk about Suarez. We could talk about Schwarber. But I think that Raleigh, Judge, and Ohtani deserve our attention because of what they're doing. Cal Raleigh, as a catcher, has 38 home runs going into the All-Star break. There's only one guy who did more. And it ain't McGuire and it ain't Sosa. It's Barry Bonds in 2001. That's the only person who had more home runs than Cal Raleigh ever. Cal Raleigh, believe me, he's peed in a cup more than most players this year. Baseball is going to make sure that everything is squeaky clean and squeaky colored. Cal Raleigh, forget his average. It doesn't matter to me that he's hitting 250. He's leading the league in runs batted in. He's getting on base. Just watch him as a catcher. So that's got to be the story. It's got to be. Until you look at Aaron Judge. Aaron Judge became the fastest player ever to hit 350 home runs in a career. Ever. And that was just this weekend. He's only played in 1,088 games. If you're trying to sort of put that in perspective, Mark McGwire needed 1,280 and he was the leader until Judge. Mark McGwire needed, and this is Mark McGwire, forgetting what else he needed, he also needed 1,280 games. That is 132 more games. That's almost a season. Aaron Judge is hitting home runs at a pace, you have to say it's historic. And we throw that word around. Aaron Judge is playing on a team that is winning, second place, but winning. He is hitting 355. He's getting on base like Bonds. 46.2% of the time, the guy's on base. It's unstoppable. So you got to mention him. Do you know that Ohtani pitches not during garbage time and doesn't give up runs while hitting home runs? I don't know if you're aware that he has 32 home runs. And also, he works his way back from 2 Tommy Johns, which is nearly impossible. and they're building him up in the major leagues. He did pitch more than 2 innings. That's a wait-to-see victory this past Saturday. We told you he'd be more than 2. They pitched him 3 efficient innings, 36 pitches. He's basically gone 9 innings and is allowed to run. That's it. 1 run, an ERA of 1.0 in his first 9 innings back. Oh, side note, he also hits the ball. So who do you choose? Judge, Raleigh, Ohtani? I'm choosing them both because I'm not choosing Ohtani. I'm choosing Judge and Raleigh. Because it's not right. You can't compare Ohtani to Judge and Raleigh. Of course, Ohtani would be number 1 because he's a two-way player, an actual two-way player. I think they get the benefit of every doubt. They've got to win every MVP because if you're a producing top-of-the-order guy and a producing top-of-the-rotation guy, definitionally, you're the MVP because no one else can come close to that, even if they've got some better stats hitting or some better stats pitching. Think about the value. Think about the number. What would you pay to have a number 1 starter? Well, we've seen what the market will bear. If there's a number 1 starter, there was a number 1 starter available, Max Fried, Corbin Burns. Do we recall it was about $30 million a year? And that's on the low side, but let's just pretend it's 30. Now let's pretend there's a top of the rotation power hitter available. Just pretend. And I'm going to make up $30 million a year, even though the numbers are higher. He's better than Soto as a hitter, but let's just say $30 million. You're getting 2 roster spots in 1 person, which means you get an extra roster spot on top of that, and you're getting this production for $60 million, I'm saying. And everyone thought, oh my God, he got 700 over 10. They're paying him $70 million. Well, you got it wrong. The present value of Shohei Ohtani's contract, because of the deferrals, is about $43 to $44 million a year over the 10-year contract. That's it. One of the most valuable contracts. When we talk about mark to market, Shohei Ohtani is more than mark to market. There wouldn't be a team in baseball who wouldn't want to give him that contract at $43.4 million a year for 10 years, given that he is a $30 million pitcher and a $30 million hitter at least. And yes, what if he can't pitch anymore? Well, he just worked his way back from Tommy John II. What if he blows out again? We always have that view. We always worry that a pitcher is going to blow out, especially if they've blown out twice already. I wouldn't give a pitcher $300 million over 10 years or $43 million over 10 divided by 2, if you want to do it that way. $21.5 million over 10 years. Would I give that to a pitcher with 2 Tommy Johns? No, of course not. But man, is he valuable. So I don't count him. That's why I'm taking Judge and Raleigh as the stories of the first half. Let's review something, please. I love all of you, and I'm happy to admit it. I love some of you more than others, but I told you I would watch Heads of State on Friday. And I don't know about you, but I have not been able to find more than 24 hours in a day. So I guess a simple thank you would be in order, and I'll say you're welcome, because you will never watch Heads of State. Although I asked you to watch it, I really think that you should watch what I'm reviewing so we can talk about it together. But for those of you who haven't watched the Amazon movie with John Cena and Idris Elba, serious actor Idris Elba, I am all in favor of the money grab. The concept in Heads of State is that John Cena is the president and Idris Elba is the British prime minister, and they are stuck together. They hate each other. They're trying to make it a buddy-buddy movie, 48-hour style, and they're trying to do it in a way that you actually care about either one of them as they get the bad guys and have to jump out of planes and do all sorts of stuff that make them love each other at the end. because it feels so good that they've been bickering and bickering and bickering. And then at the end, they're teammates, they're lovers. Well, they're not actually lovers, but they might as well be. And the countries are connected again, where the U.S. and Britain had gone the other way in the United Kingdom. And now they've come back because of the actions of these two larger-than-life men. And all I kept thinking during Heads of State is, how much money are they being paid? Because that's the only possible way they could watch the dailies here, is cashing their checks. Do they get paid weekly? Do they get paid in advance? Are they paid on the gross? Are they paid on the back end? Are they trying to get paid a per diem? Because if they're stuck having to actually say the words that they're saying, horrible, and do the action sequences they're doing, stupid, and then be forced to watch the dailies on top of that, torturous, until you look at the zeros in the bank account. God bless you, Idris and John. I would do it too. Take the money and run. REO Speedwagon. Nope. 4869, Coca. That's a Monday problem. Take the money and run is Woody Allen. Take it on the run is REO Speedwagon. Thank you for that, Coca. I'm going to watch a movie tonight called Friendship. I don't know how it's going to go. Paul Rudd's in it, and that funny guy whose name escapes me right now, who I watched a TV series that he did, Coca. I want to say Robinson, but it's not. I can't believe it. I've got Monday brain. It is Tim Robinson. Okay, thank you. I'm watching that. I'll review it tomorrow. Tomorrow's Tuesday, but let's go to Wednesday. Wednesday, we have So You Want to Talk to Samson. So You Want to Talk to Samson is when you contact me and you ask me a question. It's based on the movie Half Baked, which you don't need to be half baked to watch. You need to be full baked to watch, and always skip Half Baked 2 and just rewatch Half Baked. But there's a character, Samson, and people want to talk to him. Well, if you want to talk to me, we have a show just for you every week. We have a phone number. You want to hear your voice? Call 631-377-4869. That number again, for those listening and not looking at the graphic, that is 631-377-4869. Of course, you can email me at David P. Samson on Twitter or at davidsamsonpodcast.com. We have a website. We have merch. Coca. Got 3 pictures this weekend. I wish I had more. Please don't be embarrassed. Send me the photos of you in the merch. Drinking out of a coffee cup or wearing a shirt to work out or a sweatshirt because you're stuck inside of an air-conditioned home that's freezing. I'm in. I want to see it. This weekend had one of the great grifts of all time. Major League Baseball got so much attention, and the media talking heads, my worthy adversarial competitors, had something to say to you about the fact that Brewers phenom Jacob Misirowoski was named an All-Star. And members of the Philadelphia Phillies were angry because they felt their players deserved to be All-Stars, specifically their pitchers, Christopher Sanchez, Ranger Suarez. The Philadelphia Phillies made a spectacle out of the fact that the Brewers pitcher, who just debuted he's pitched like in 5 games, that he was named an All-Star. We had a pitcher named Dontrelle Willis in 2003. He had pitched in 13 games before the All-Star break, and he had been called up, and he was the story of baseball. He was all arms and legs. He was a lefty who had an infectious smile. He still does TV work with a World Series ring that he won in 2003. You can still catch him on Fox as a baseball analyst in studio. He made the All-Star game, and we politicked to get him into the All-Star game that year because our view was that it would be good for the organization, who had been playing well since May, to have exposure of Dontrelle Willis on the world stage. MLB, and I will never forget the conversation with people at MLB saying, we're good with the bonus that he would get. we're good with the fact that we'll have to pay him more in arbitration because he will have this special circumstance, which is an All-Star game. Little did we know that he'd have another special circumstance, which was a World Series ring. But we thought it important to promote Dontrelle Willis. For those of you who misunderstand how I ran the team, thinking that we did it only to hurt players or to give them as little as possible, you're wrong. We were in entertainment. I wanted attention in Miami. When you've got a pitcher like Jacob Misirowoski, who's throwing 105 miles an hour, who everybody wants to see. You heard Bobby Valentine. You heard Matthew Coca. You heard me. If you've got a choice between someone who's going to attract attention and someone who's not, you go with the player who's going to attract attention. But the story is MLB didn't actually do that. They had an opening on the All-Star pitching staff because of a replacement, and they went to the Phillies pitchers. I don't know how to be any more clear about this story and the hate that you are all having toward Misirowoski for being named an All-Star and for the Phillies complaining like a bunch of wimps about what happened. The Phillies were spoken to, and this is how it works every single year. The Phillies were asked, hey, we need innings, because it's not the manager who's saying, oh, this guy's got the first inning, then let's see, we're going to warm up for the second inning. It is all predetermined. The pitchers know going in exactly what inning they're going to pitch. They also know if they're the replacement pitcher in any inning, if the starter of that inning throws over the limit of pitches. If you can't get 3 outs within 30 pitches, there's going to be another All-Star that comes in, and their job is to be ready for mop-up, to warm up in the bullpen and mop up an inning that cannot be completed. Or your job is to pitch extra innings, and you're not going to see action if it's a regular 9-inning game. It's all given to the pitchers in advance and the teams. We don't just send our pitchers to an exhibition game anywhere without a full, not just understanding, but control over how we want that pitcher to be used. Well, the Phillies decided that they were going to pitch Christopher Sanchez on Sunday. They know the rule. Any starting pitcher who pitches on Sunday does not pitch in the All-Star game. And when baseball had to name a replacement pitcher, they needed a replacement pitcher who's going to pitch. So they called up Philly and they said, hey, we want to make Sanchez an All-Star. He's had a great year. He's an All-Star. Will he pitch? Even though he's pitching Sunday, what do you think? Can he give us an inning? Any chance? No? All right. We'll call you back. Then MLB meets and says, we're not going to put Sanchez on the team. We can't afford another person who's not throwing. Sorry. We're moving on. Next on the list. Hey, Philly, what about our guy, Ranger Suarez? Oh, what? He wants to break? He doesn't want to pitch? What's Zach Wheeler doing? Oh, he doesn't want to pitch? What's going on here? Why is it that none of your pitchers will pitch in this great exhibition game in Atlanta? Oh, because they like their All-Star break? And they're using the excuse they want to be healthy and mentally ready for the second part of the season? Would you give me a small break? I agree, and I told you the players are tired. Players get excited. But when you have a chance to go to an All-Star game in baseball and to add that to your resume, whether it's an arbitration resume, a free agent resume, or a Hall of Fame resume, or just a downright obituary resume, the number of All-Star games that you have under your belt in your career matters. It's not as much as rings or MVPs or Cy Youngs, but it's right after that. It's before Gold Gloves and Silver Sluggers. But no, it was a no all the way around. So explain to me then why the Philadelphia Phillies players went crazy. Trey Turner, what a joke. That's effing terrible. That's terrible, dude. Talking about Misirowoski being named the All-Star. JT Realmuto, my friend JT. That's just how MLB does it now. Nothing against the Misirowoski kid, but those two are deserving of being on the team in the first place. There's no doubt. They would have been on the team if they agreed to pitch. And Nick Castellanos, why don't you worry about being productive? Nick Castellanos said that MLB is turning that game into the Savannah Bananas. Do you not love when people try to do a zinger on you, and in fact, it's the opposite? Do you think that baseball looks at the Savannah Bananas and says, oh my God, we don't want to be that. We're the opposite of that. Why would we want to fill a 100,000-seat stadium? Why would we not want total brand affinity and people loving our product? I can't even imagine it. Oh, because we're too serious. We're Major League Baseball. Horse hockey. Of course, baseball this week, starting, well, it started with the Futures game, but ignore that. And it's got a softball game, ignore that. We got the Home Run Derby, and we got the All-Star game. Of course, MLB wants eyeballs. You don't think that more eyeballs come with Misirowoski than come with Sanchez or Suarez? You think MLB didn't know what they were doing when they called Philly and said, what about Sanchez, knowing that he was slated to pitch Sunday? They're no idiots at Major League Baseball. We can talk about funny things they say or do or things we disagree with, but there's one thing I can promise you. They know what they're doing. It may not always end right, but it always starts right. Philly players. They're raising a glass to their own, trying to get clubhouse unity, trying to say that our guys deserve to be in. It shouldn't be only Schwarber as the sole guy. But guess what? At the end of the day, with all the talk that teams do, oh, I wish we had 5 All-Stars. I wish we had 4 All-Stars. We only have 1 All-Star. I can't believe it. Starting this Friday, July 18th, it'll never come up in the clubhouse again. When the players see each other for a workout Thursday, which teams do, which is optional, except we really tell our players to be there. You do a quick little BP, quick little infield, just get people swinging the bat again. You can excuse the guys who were in the All-Star festivities and have them only report Friday. But when players get back together, hey, how was it? How you doing? Good, good, done. It's like dos minutos that happens within a clubhouse or on the field when players are talking about their All-Star week. It's just a moment in time that you get forever that I would strongly suggest any player who has an opportunity to do it, it's that cool. And the last thing is that to blame Jacob Misirowoski for him being named as the 3rd choice behind the 2 Phillies guys, and then to blame him for saying yes, that he's not deserving, I would tell you all, ESAD. That's an expression I can't say on the DraftKings Network. I can say it on a podcast. But I'd like you to eat some feces and then never come back. Because it's just a terrible take. It was not a terrible take when I told you that I would not have paid Sanchez his $50,000 All-Star bonus. I sent out a simple tweet at David P. Samson telling you that that was very nice of the Phillies, which it was, but it was also unnecessary, which it was, and that baseball will be unhappy with the president, which they are, whether they tell you that or not. You see in contracts that are all-star bonuses. We talked about it with Juan Soto last week. We talked about Juan Soto saying, I'm leaving money on the table. When you sign a contract, not an arbitration settled contract by the 3-panel, excuse me one second, Coca. 4869. When you go to arbitration, the contract you get does not have any bonuses. But when you settle an arbitration case, or when you sign a free agent, or when you sign some of your young players, you have all-star clauses in there that give them 25 grand or 50 grand or 100 grand for being elected as a starter because that makes them popular, which helps you, or being named as a starter, which can sometimes be just because the team needs somebody, because those are the rules. So you change the amount according to how the player becomes an all-star. What the Philadelphia Phillies did is they took that clause in Christopher Sanchez's contract and they activated it for no reason. Sanchez was not named an all-star, but they're giving him 50 grand, and now people are acting like John Middleton and the Philadelphia Phillies and Dave Dombrowski are the nicest people in the world. Do you know that we're taught something very clearly in president of baseball school? When you're the president of a baseball team, page 4, do not give the players anything that you are not contractually obligated to give because they will not do the same in return. They will look at what they're obligated to do and deliver just that, not more. The union will be a part of not allowing players to do any more than what they are told to do and what they signed to do. The players will take advantage of any opening in a player contract or in the CBA in order to try to make the opening bigger. They will try anything if you try to get them to make more appearances than they have to make under their contract or the CBA. They will tell you, no, thank you. When you've got an incentive bonus that if a player pitches 200 innings, they get 200 grand. Or if a pitcher on his 20th start, he gets $1 million. When the pitcher has 19 starts, you don't give him the $1 million. The whole purpose of the negotiation was they had to get to a certain level because that's when you deemed it beneficial to you and worth it to make a deal that you're giving that player money. All-star bonuses are meant for what comes with having your team more all-stars, having your team have more. It's not because they deserve it. We've had plenty of snubs. You think all snubs get paid their bonus? Every year there's snubs. Why this one? Why would the Phillies choose to be the only team to do this? That was my point. Not that it's not nice or cool. Great, he's got 50 more grand. When Sanchez gives up 8 runs, 4 starts in a row, you think he'll give up any of the guaranteed money that he's got when his arbitration number would be below what it is he actually signed for? Do you get your money back in that case? Do you get your money back when you sign a guy to a long-term deal who stinks? They just come in and say, we want more. We want to renegotiate. We're going to opt out. Do I sound bitter? I shouldn't. I'm just explaining that both sides have certain levers that they can pull within the 4 corners of a CBA, and both sides pull those levers. Both sides have things within contracts that are used to protect them, and both sides use those clauses to protect themselves. And when you violate that, when you do something that you claim is in the best interest of the team that brought the whole team together, it's total horse hockey. Like the team would have been split with anger. Oh, Sanchi didn't get his 50 grand. You can find a way to get money to a player. You can find a way to get cohesion in a clubhouse without doing something that will have negative implications. Like a pebble in a river, it will ripple out. This won't be a one-time thing because now players and agents and the union say, hey, we have an opportunity to still get an all-star bonus. Make sure you put more money in there for it. Then we can just negotiate a snub, not take the full 200 grand, but hey, just give me 100 and we'll call it even. After the break, we're going to talk about the home run derby and quite a few other things. Because guess what? We got a whole nother hour coming up after this. Welcome back to Nothing Personal. It is hour 2 on a Monday. Tonight is the Home Run Derby. It's always fun. If you've never watched a Home Run Derby, you should start now because you're going to get to see Cal Raleigh, the guy with 38 home runs. You're not going to see Judge. You're not going to see Schwarber. You're not going to see Ohtani, some of the other home run leaders. But you will see Raleigh. That's cool. But what's even cooler is you're going to see some guys who can rake. Putting together a home run derby, MLB does it. It's a tricky thing trying to get people to participate in the home run derby. The majority of players will only do it if they are all-stars. They don't want to be in the derby if they're not. This year, out of the 8, 7 of them are all-stars. I believe O'Neal Cruz is the only one who is not. Coca, do I have that right? That 7 out of 8 are all-stars. We have Acuna, who is going to be in the derby trying to do what no one's done since Todd Frazier, win it in front of your home fans. God, did we want a Marlin to win it in 2017. And we had Stanton and Bohr. We thought we had it. We thought we had it. But we didn't. Aaron Judge won that one. But Acuna, just this weekend, bowed out of the home run derby. Are you shocked that he was replaced with Matt Olson? I am not. Matt Olson has 17 home runs. Jazz Chisholm has 17 home runs. O'Neal Cruz has 16 home runs. That seems like a small number of home runs to have going into the break, given that the leaders are in the 30s or high 30s, and we're looking for rakers. But actually what MLB is looking for, they're looking to promote names. They're looking for people with flash and style and substance and a story. What story can we tell James Wood? That's a story on the Nationals. Now, he does have 24 home runs, but we want people to know about him and how good he is. Because the next night at the All-Star Game, these guys, maybe not Cal Raleigh, but all the rest of them, are going to be overlooked. Because there's just a level of All-Star that is superior to the people on the list who are doing the All-Star Game, who are doing the Home Run Derby. So that means that tonight we can hear a lot about Jazz, whereas tomorrow night he'll come in for an at-bat or two, and that'll be it, but won't be the focus. But if he wins the home run derby, then it'll get to be mentioned like Teoscar Hernandez last year, and it becomes a thing. When you approach a player like Jazz Chisholm, you say to him, hey, you'll do the home run derby, right? Well, I got to be an all-star first. Do you think it's a coincidence that Jazz was named an all-star by the commissioner's office and then put in the home run derby? Just throwing it out there. And I am not a conspiratorial guy. I'm just not. I'm just trying to explain to you how it happens. It can't be a coinkydink. The commissioner and his people are always working and doing things. Having Jazz in the Derby makes a whole lot of sense, just like having him on the cover of MLB The Show made a whole lot of sense. When you're looking at the makeup of the Home Run Derby, you're like putting a reality show cast together. You need people of every shape, every color. You need people who appeal to different demographics. You're trying to get eyeballs. I do not agree with apologizing for doing your business the way your business is supposed to be done. While people sit there and criticize, oh, there's no big names here. Brent Rooker, why is he in there? Why would there be that doesn't make sense that you'd have an A's player in there. Oh, yeah, of course it does. Given what the A's are trying to do at the moment. Why would they put a Tampa Bay Ray? They're playing like in Steinbrenner Field. Oh, wait a minute. Trying to get a stadium done and a team sold. That makes sense. Having a good team in Washington, D.C., that makes sense. Trying to appeal to people who look like Jazz Chisholm, that makes sense. It's okay. Watch the Derby tonight. Learn about the players, enjoy to see whether or not it's a dud or whether somebody goes crazy, and you just don't know. Well, you say that, but I'm going to make my nothing personal pick of the day about the home run derby. For nothing personal pick of the day, I want you to put half a unit on Wood and half a unit on Byron Buxton. Here's the theory. You know our nothing personal picks of the day. We give them to you every day. And we are 94 and 88 right now. We do more than one pick a day. We do different sports. But if you go to davidsamsonpodcast.com, we've got all of the picks we've ever made in one document right there in public for you to see. Total accountability. The units are $10 units. You can see how many units I'm up, how many units I'm down, because you can be 94 and 88 and still be down units, which I am. And when I say half a unit, that's $5. But think about this. You put $5 on two players, I'm going to lose one of them, but doesn't matter. I've got a 25% chance of either going plus 475 or plus 950, which makes up for the money I'm losing on the losing pick of the two I'm giving you. I actually love Wood or Buxton to win this home run derby. Buxton's quite a story. The guy is finally healthy. He just hit for the cycle, and I can't believe what he did, and it never occurred to me. And I'm an Iron Man. I'm a cyclist. He bought a bicycle for an underprivileged kid. Now, I'm sure he didn't go to the store and buy it. It was a brilliant idea by the Twins PR and marketing department, but gosh dang it, that would have been a great thought. Oh, but wait a minute, we never had a player hit for the cycle. Not one time in 18 years. As a matter of fact, the Marlins had nobody. The entire franchise history, nobody had ever hit for the cycle. Now they have, and I think it was Arias, Coke. I can't remember who hit for the cycle for the Marlins, but someone has. I think they may even have two now. But either way, the thing about Byron Buxton is that we've never been able to appreciate his greatness because he is made of tinfoil and wax paper. Gets hurt all the time. But he's fun to watch when he's healthy. And right now, he's healthy. Yeah, the Marlins, thank you, Coca, have two cycles, one in 23 and one in 24. That's crazy. When we were, side story quickly, Coca, we were building the ballpark. We had different themed areas in the ballpark and different suites on different levels. So we had a no-hitter suite where we were able to put pictures of all of the no-hitters we had in franchise history. We had a World Series suite where we put in pictures from the 97 World Series or the 03 World Series. We had a Silver Slugger suite and tons of pictures of all the Silver Sluggers we had. We wanted a cycle suite so badly. And we were saying, oh, we'll get a cycle. We put a pin in one of the suites that we were going to make it a cycle suite. I mean, how could we go an entire franchise and not have a cycle? And this was as we were planning the stadium in 06 and 07, 08, 09, and then it starts getting built in 10 and then 11. It's ready to open in 12. We're doing the final painting job and the final decorating job. And we were like, for crying out loud, there's still no cycle. So if you go to Marlins Park, though Jeter changed the whole thing, so I don't recall anymore because I haven't been back. Waiting for the invite, though I did get an invite from a bunch of season ticket holders. Thank you. Don't know that I'll take you up on that, but maybe. There is no cycle suite. But Buxton just hit for the cycle. He gave away a bicycle. He's healthy, and he's going to have fun tonight. And the people who are the more relaxed, and I don't mean like Jazz Chisholm relaxed, where he says, I'm only going to go 70%. I'm not going to try. Don't want to get tired. Don't want to get hurt. That guy has no chance to win. Because if you're going to win, just ask Stanton, just ask Judge. It hurts. It hurts. You're tired. You're sore. But you're not as poor when you win. We're going half a unit on Wood, half a unit on Buxton. We went undefeated this weekend. We had Senga and the Mets over the Royals. That was Senga's return from his hamstring. You had to watch to the end, but it worked out. Mets won. And then we had Ohtani and the Dodgers over the Giants. That worked out as well. The Giants had lost a ton in a row, but they broke their losing streak that night on Saturday. And we also had Ohtani going more than 2 innings pitched, but that was only a wait to see. So we had 2 picks of the day win and 1 wait to see, which is how we got to 94 and 88. I'm going to switch gears to, well, I shouldn't be saying that. Sorry. 4869, Coca. Just cut it. 4869. If you think that the NFLPA is not in trouble currently, then you're not properly paying attention or reading the tea leaves. The NFLPA is embroiled in a scandal that has multiple tentacles, most of which have been caused by our friend Pablo Torre. When Pablo did the episode about the collusion grievance that never saw the light of day, when he did the follow-up on Howell and the conflicts of interest and the lack of communication with players, when there's more follow-up that's going to come out maybe soon from Pablo, who continues to report this, when ESPN sicks its reporters on the story, Pro Football Talk does the same, you know that this is a story that isn't going away. When you're involved in a scandal, you have to decide quickly whether this is the tourniquet situation or not. You know that from nothing personal. When you tourniquet a scandal, that means wrap it around and then don't mention it again. Forget about it. But sometimes you know that there's going to be more statements required. Well, the NFL players and the executive council, the executive committee, they were taking a look around at all of the media, all of the shows out there, all of the people chirping about what's going on with their leadership, about how obvious it is that Howell and Treader cannot continue. But they decided that they wanted to send a letter. They wanted to reach out to players, and they wanted to give the players a State of the Union. Little word of advice when you're ever in charge of something. Giving a State of the Union only during emergencies means you're not a very good leader. What you want to do is have people up to date on stuff all throughout, so when an emergency comes, it doesn't feel like they're being hit in the head with a sharp object, because they've been warned, they've been spoken to, they've been cautioned, hey, this could happen, that could happen, we're going to talk about it, and then when it does happen, you send a letter saying, hey, remember that thing we talked about? Well, it happened. Well, the NFLPA has a habit. They don't like informing their players about anything. They only like doing it when it's too late. And so they decided to send a correspondence to the players. And it was a statement by the executive committee to players, and Adam Schefter, give him credit, well, or not, but he got it. As members of the NFLPA executive committee, we categorically reject false reports, insinuating doubts within this committee, or suggestions that we have asked our executive director to step down. We further reject attempts to mischaracterize the committee's views or divide our membership. Ooh, that is a heavy, heavy statement. Let's break it down for you on Nothing Personal. That's when the animation's supposed to come out for. Break it down. I love categorically rejecting false reports, because that means that you're not just rejecting them in part, you're rejecting them in full. Every part of every report is false. Anything anyone has said about Howell or about the NFLPA and about any possible change that can be happening at the top, it's all false. Every bit of it. Rumors that we've asked him to step down, false. Categorically deny it. The problem, if you're going to go so hard and you want to really show the players that they are uniting, that this committee is absolutely uniting around Howell, and it is kumbaya, they are supporting him. They are not going to hang him out to dry. They're going to let him keep his job into the next collective bargaining negotiation. Everything is normal and fine. Then you just release the first part of the statement. That's not what the players did. That's not what the players read. That's not what the executive committee chose. They chose to give you that first paragraph where if you're C. Thomas Howell, you're reading that and saying, wow, that's awesome. And then you get to the second part and Thurston starts reading it and says, uh-oh, Houston, we've got a problem. Quote, The letter from the executive committee continues. We have established a deliberate process to carefully assess the issues that have been raised and will not engage in a rush to judgment. Uh-oh. What does that mean? Hold on. Did we just say that we categorically reject reports that we have asked the guy to step down, but the reason we're categorically rejecting those reports is that we haven't finished the due process that we're going to put out there before we do tell him to sit down and fire him? We want to make sure we cross all the I's and dot all the T's, making sure we got everything nailed down. 1 at the feet, 2 at the hands. Let's go. You really shouldn't put those two parts to a statement together because they don't make sense. Unless, of course, it's exactly what's been reported and that you have told Howell, Lloyd, sorry. We're going to find a way to gracefully get out of this. Let's start negotiating how it's going to work with your contract. But we'll get an announcement once we have a new plan in place. We're going to have to name an interim director. That's what I would suspect. And then we'll figure out how to vote in a new director. We've got some politics going on here because we got that Shredder guy, man. Oof, is he involved? He's not going to make it through this, but we got to keep him on the straight and narrow. We're not trying to make enemies of Howley's a powerful guy with what he does with Carlisle Group. You go through all of these things. Sometimes it's better to not say anything. Don't you think the executive committee would have been best served to stay quiet, given they've been quiet the whole time, given the fact that they had an agreement, a collusive agreement, not really collusion, with the NFL, not to disclose this grievance result to anybody, basically to chew up the paper and swallow it? Don't you think that they've got more issues to discuss internally and that it would be better for their union so that it doesn't look divisive and that it doesn't look like that the NFL owners aren't super thrilled to see this level of divisiveness and to see the fact that the head of the union may get chopped off because of his actions? I can't describe to you how much we like that as management. I'd say it's our number one. Divisiveness, discord, disillusionment, all of it. So they put these statements together, and the result will be that there will be a full investigation, as they've said. There will not be a rush to judgment. There doesn't need to be. It can be a month. It can be 2 months because the CBA is long enough away. But what we told you is going to happen is now a sure thing. Lloyd Howell is gone as executive director. And these comments by the executive committee clinched it for me when their goal was to do the opposite. What a day yesterday. Got to watch the Wimbledon finals that started at 11:18, not 11 o'clock, as was advertised. 3 great hours, done in time to watch the Club World Cup final. If you were not lucky enough to be one of the 81,000 plus people at the Club World Cup final, so once and for all, people could stop complaining, oh God, nobody's watching, nobody's interested. Well, when Chelsea and PSG get together, people are interested. What a great stroke of luck during your inaugural Club World Cup that was like this in terms of size and scope, that you get a final game like this. Now, the match itself was a blowout. Chelsea beat PSG 3-0. Chelsea is now the Club World Cup champion. Todd Boehly was there along with Mark Walter, 2 names you may recognize. Mark Walter, Dodgers. Mark Walter, Lakers. Todd Boehly, Chelsea? He does a lot of other stuff. But man, you guys were all over him, criticizing Todd Boehly for all of the money he spent when he took over Chelsea, like almost $2 billion in transfer fees since 2022. Despondent beyond repair. He's overpaying and getting under delivery in terms of trophies and cups and all the other stuff that happens in football around the world. Well, now, who's getting the last laugh? as all of the young players he signed to those long deals that I was equally critical of. Well, it turns out it's paying off very well. Cole Palmer had 2 goals and an assist in the final, and he won the Golden Ball Award for Player of the Tournament. When you go into this Club World Cup tournament that either happens every 4 years or every 2 years to be discussed and decided, because believe me, they're doing this again, and they're going to include more teams next time. But when you go into this type of tournament and you see all of the lucky charms at the end of the rainbow, you want it. This is not one of those things where it's an exhibition where, like in the WNBA, you make $2,500 for participating. There is real money at stake here for these clubs. The argument that you get, well, you know, the Premier League, the Champions League, you can win as much money as that. Yeah, that may be true, but this is for a month. In 1 month, Chelsea made it so that they earned over $120 million, closer to $150 million. How do you not say that your time allocation is not worth it? The Club World Cup was such a rousing success around the world that it did not take more than a second for the FIFA president, Infantino, to do a press conference, not surprisingly at Trump Tower, and to say, this was so good, you know what we're going to do? We're going to expand. And we're going to make sure even more European teams get in. We're going to make sure that the best of the best, the most popular of the most popular, are a part of what we're doing. I happen to love this. When you have an opportunity to create something out of nothing and you do it and it works, there is no better feeling in business. Now, Club World Cups have happened before, but this was a completely different type of tournament. This is a tournament that had tremendous backing from its TV partners, its international partner, DAZN, its U.S. partner, Turner, David Zaslav. Tremendous financial backing, corporate sponsorships, ticketing. Forget all of the jealousy that was leaked by the people who did not want this to succeed, of all the lack of attendance, the lack of good surface, all of the negatives. Sometimes you have to get past that and you have to look a little deeper. And a little deeper here is when there are other federations around the world who get jealous that FIFA could be encroaching on something that they do or something they want to do. Do you think that for 1 second it's a coincidence that the UEFA chair, the UEFA president, a guy named Alexander Seferin, is angry and upset about the Club World Cup? Do you think it's a coincidence that he didn't go to any Club World Cup games when he could have, and the best excuse they came up with was, hey, he's got to deal with the Women's Euro tournament? Well, that's true, except that women's tournament didn't start till after the Club World Cup started. And by the way, Alexander, you're the only federation president who didn't show up at a Club World Cup game. What are you so jealous about? Are you jealous of the fact that now they're getting in on something that you did? What gave you the right to think that you as an organization are the only people who are going to make hamburgers? You can't just have McDonald's. Of course, Burger King and Wendy's are going to start. And then you're going to get crushed by In-N-Out. And that's how it goes. And then it evolves into Chick-fil-A. It is a competitive industry. It's like me saying, hey, I got a daily podcast. That's it. Barrier to entry is full. No more daily podcasts. Don't come up with any way to distract the audience into thinking they have to spend another minute with anyone. Stop it with me. Boy, that's a way to improve quality, isn't it? You can't be surprised for 1 second that the Club World Cup was this successful, given the teams who were in it and the interest around the world of football. You also can't be surprised when people are angry with FIFA because they see a lot of stuff, but what they see mostly are the dollar signs that come with the World Cup, which is next year, and the jealousy that comes with, man, you already own once every 4 years, in a way that sponsors allocate money toward that and away from us and our federations. But man, now you've done and created another full tournament, and you've put resources behind it that are attracting the attention of clubs who should be focused on other stuff, yeah, it's the perfect plan, actually. It's hard not to congratulate Infantino. It's hard to congratulate the president of FIFA for anything given the way they do bids and how they do things. But to not congratulate him for having a successful Club World Cup tournament would make me a hypocrite. So, at the count of three, everybody, get ready. Mea culpa time. 1, 2, 3. Hi, my name is David Samson from Nothing Personal. I would like to formally extend my congratulations to everyone at FIFA and those involved with creating the Club World Cup that ended up being one of the great exciting tournaments because of the prize money available to each team. In addition, you got people quiet about surfaces, about salaries, about extra bonuses. You got jealous federations quiet, other than one, about what this meant for the calendar for players and for organizations and for federations. You managed to do something that will continue to get bigger, not smaller, over the decades by shortening the time in between World Cup and World Cup with something as big as the Club World Cup, which can gain interest around the world because we got the United States. And when we involve MLS, which doesn't necessarily deserve to be there, but they continue to have players who are known worldwide, that's to our benefit and to yours. My name is Gianni Infantino, and I am the president of FIFA. It's really big. It really is. As part of this, FIFA had to agree to more rest period. I don't know if you saw that, Coca, but that was very funny. The players were complaining, oh my God, I'm not going to win $1 million if I lose in the first round. Or if I'm in the MLS, I'll probably only make 20 grand because of our CBA. But this is not fair. We need more rest. The Chelsea players are not standing up and calling out for more rest. I can promise you that. But the football player unions have secured a victory. There will be mandatory rest periods. They met with FIFA's president, Infantino, and they came out with a whole system. They're like, hey, man, we're burnt out. We play too much. It's every weekend. There's no off season. What do we do? All right, fine. Wait till you hear how they settled it. We will have a mandatory 72-hour minimum gap between games. 3 days. 3 whole days. Way to go. Man, that must have been such a give for FIFA. They must have had to do sidebars and like spend hours, maybe days and weeks deciding whether they would do the 72-hour minimum gap between games. But then they came up with the big one. They said, and we love you so much, so much. We'll give you a 3-week rest period at the end of the season. 3 weeks. Can you imagine if baseball ended on October 1st and then spring training was on October 21st? That's the equivalent. Forget the postseason. Or if in basketball the season ends in April and you're right back in training camps in May, you can barely get the guys back in August, for crying out loud, Meatloaf. But don't worry, we got you all settled here in soccer. We're going to give you 3 weeks of rest. Now, don't take a big trip. You'll run out of time. Meanwhile, the reason I'm laughing is that not all unions are created equally. And we talked this show a little bit about the players' union in baseball. We talked about the players' union in football, NFL football. We talked about the players' union in soccer. The thing about unions is that while you may complain, depending on what side of the aisle you're on, with the existence of a union for these workers, as opposed to migrant workers or workers who truly need protection because they're getting screwed in a way that is hard to believe. But I digress. When you're talking about player unions, just stick at players, stick in sports. The complaint that players have that they are absolutely outdone at the table by management, that they are taken advantage of. It's just not accurate. These are some of the strongest unions that exist. We're talking like teachers' unions, flight attendant unions, pilot unions, air traffic control unions. I'm talking about unions, truckers' unions, steel workers. These player unions are right up there with all of them. When the meeting is happening between all unions, whether it's virtual, real, fake, whether it happens in the sky, when union leaders get together and talk about who's got the most power of them all, the player unions are in the conversation. They're not looked at as, oh my God, you guys are a joke. You guys get hosed by your owners every time. It's quite the opposite. These players' unions are strong. They are healthy. And it will not stop leagues from continuing to try to divide them. That's going to go on. It just doesn't work too often. Meanwhile, congratulations, all you can say. Being good the last year of your contract, if your agent is being honest with you, that is so important, like way more important than being good the first year of your new contract. You know, when players sign baseball deals, they have a tough first year, and the players say, oh, I'm just getting adjusted. Well, that may or may not be the case. What is the case is that when you have a good year on your platform year, it means that you're going to get paid. Is anyone having a better platform year than Messi over at Inter Miami? The 38-year-old has now broken his own record. Shockingly, he has scored multiple goals in 5 straight games. And he's a free agent at the end of the year. He's deciding what to do because there are offers. Could he go back over the pond? Is he going to go all the way to Saudi Arabia and try to beat out his friend Ronaldo and make more than $150 million a season? Is he going to stay in Miami because he so badly wants to play on Mel Reed's golf course they never got a chance to play at? So the next best thing is, let's play at the new stadium for Inter Miami so I can actually play in Miami instead of Fort Lauderdale. News alert, Messi could not possibly care less about playing in the new stadium in Miami, regardless of what it does to his commute. It is of zero impact into what Messi decides to do at the end of this year. Zero impact that it's a new stadium that is on schedule to open in 2028. Here's how the discussion's going. They have gotten 4 buckets of information for Messi and his family to look at. The first bucket is, what have I been offered by other teams? Put them all in that bucket. That's the Saudi Arabian offer. Get some PIF fund money. Maybe you can get a stake in Live Golf. Who knows? Whatever you've been offered, put it in this bucket. 2, where am I now bucket? The where am I now bucket is what my W-2 income was this past year, whether I had any K-1 income, whether it paid off having some shtup that I could get at the end from Apple for sign-ins and sign-ups to the Apple TV package for MLS, whatever endorsements I have because I'm a Miami guy, whatever appearances I have when I have to go watch the children play, tell me. Put it all together, put it in a bucket. Now I've got what I could get, what I do get. Now, third bucket. Honey, I'm not saying you have a 50% say in this, but I am interested. Do you like Miami? Do you want to move to Saudi Arabia? Do you want to move back to Argentina, to Paris? Would you rather be in London? You tell me. What are your thoughts? Family, third bucket. Fourth bucket and final bucket is the player. What does the player want? Where does the player want to be? The player in the fourth bucket will use information from the first three buckets in deciding his free agent status. There are some players who only use one of the three buckets, and they say, just tell me the money, tell me the offer, I'm going to the highest offer. Some say, I don't care what the offer is, I only care what my wife thinks, how good the school system is. Some say, hey, it's going so well where I am, I really see no reason for doing anything else. But the fourth bucket has the player inside it who will have to make the decision, and the player is Messi. What is Messi going to decide as his contract with Inter Miami runs out? He's going to decide to stay in Miami. Why do I say that? Because I'm fairly confident that three of the buckets want Miami, and one of the bucket will say Saudi Arabia. The Saudi Arabian bucket is the one that says, hey, that's the most money I can make guaranteed. But then the other three buckets are like, yeah, but it's Saudi Arabia. I'm not all that comfortable where they prefer to kill people and be total misogynists and hate women. Don't really want to hang out there too much. No matter how much security I have, no matter how much love that apparently I have because my husband's a soccer player, not sure that interests me greatly. As a matter of fact, I am so positive I'm going to go with a wait to see. Wait to see is that Messi will extend with Inter Miami, and he will play in the new facility. So congratulations, Messi. I think we'll see you in the World Cup for Argentina, won't we? But either way, you'll be back with Inter Miami. I was so excited yesterday, Coca. I could barely contain the wagging of my tail. Last night was MLB's draft. Sorry. Let me do it better. I want to give it the proper enthusiasm, because if this were the NFL draft, we'd lead off with it. If this were the NBA draft, we'd lead off with it. We have a 2-hour show. Are you telling me that we've got 10 minutes left and now we're talking about MLB's draft? It's Rule 4 amateur draft. Wasn't good enough to lead off the show because it's happening during All-Star Break, Derby, All-Star Game, etc., Club World Cup, Summer League action? With the first pick in the 2025 Major League Baseball Rule 4 amateur draft, the Washington Nationals choose Eli Willits. Huh? Wait. Is that Reggie Willits' son? It can't be. I'm not that old. There's no way that that's Reggie Willits' son, obviously. That would be insane. Wait, the kid's 17 years old. 17, 27, 37, 42, 42 at the 8 in 2000. Reggie Willits absolutely could have a kid who's 17 years old. Wait a minute. Matt Holliday has a kid who was drafted fourth. This isn't the first time. We've had a bunch of kids of players who we had. Vladimir Guerrero. I mean, the list goes on and on and on and on and on. Al Leiter. Yeah, his kid's good. His nephew's even good. Eli Willits was taken it with the first pick, and people got a little wacky. You see, there's those who are paid to do mock drafts in sports, and they take it seriously, man. You want to get it right. You want to be dialed in. You want your scouting report to match that of the teams. In the NBA, Cooper Flagg, first pick. Yeah, got it. Who'd you have it to? Shedeur Sanders or not? It can be hard. Baseball, downright impossible unless you've seen the draft boards of the 30 teams. You see, we have 30 different opinions. In the NBA, you look at the 30 teams and say, wow, there's 32 people who think Cooper Flagg will go first. He's the best there is. And by the way, there's total unanimity on 8 of the top 10 picks. In baseball, you just don't find it. There's no consensus number one except very, very rarely. And the Nationals actually had 2 of them in Strasburg and Bryce Harper. But it is very rare to have a consensus number one, because in baseball, it's very rare for your first-round pick to even make the big leagues. So when Eli Willits was announced, people were like, oh, totally surprised. Remember when Mike Rizzo got fired? Remember what we said, that their first round pick deal was already done? Remember we said that what they're going to do is do a pre-draft deal with their first round pick, the way you do when there's not a Bryce Harper available who will demand to take the whole slot, where you do a deal with the player, because in baseball draft you get slot, meaning you have $11 million with which to sign that player. And that $11 million is part of your total pool of, let's say, $20 million. I'm making up the number. Just say it's $20 million. So you have $9 million for every other of your 19 draft picks. But the rule in baseball states you don't have to pay slot for a first round pick. You can't go over. So you can't give your first round pick all $20 million of your dollars and then not give a penny to the rest of the players you draft. You'd have to be a moron to do that anyway. But the rule is you can't go over, but if you go under, you can reallocate that money elsewhere. You can draft a guy in the third round that's going to get paid more than third round money. That was our strategy in every draft, is we took our draft budget. These rules didn't exist when I was doing drafts, but you take your draft budget, and before you even start, you have spread it out over, all right, if we get this player, it's going to be this amount, which will enable us to then draft this player at that amount. It's a game that we are adding up at all times during the day of the draft and in the lead up to the draft. So when the Nationals take Eli Willits, it's not a big deal that you're 1-1 overall, because you're eligible to make the most money of anyone, but you don't. You're going to read, and it's going to be soon, that the Nationals signed Eli Willits to a contract well below $11 million. The Nationals have about $16.6 million to spend, and that's the fourth highest pool, below the Mariners at $17 million. You are going to find that right now Eli Willits will take a smaller percentage of the Nats' overall pool, and that is the way to do a draft. I'm in complete agreement on how they did it. And they're not the only one. The Mariners already announced after they made their pick that they signed. His name is Cade Anderson, the number 4 pick. The Mariners took him. They gave him $700,000 below slot. No, they did not start negotiating with him last night. Pre-draft deals are against the rules. We all break those rules. The agents, the high schoolers, the college players, the scouting directors, the player personnel directors, the GMs, the team presidents, the owners, we all violate the rule that says you cannot do a pre-draft deal. We have to do a pre-draft deal in order for us to understand who we can take. Can you imagine taking someone in the first round, making him the number 1 pick when he's not worthy of being the number one, and then having him say, well, you made me the number one. I want all the slot money for being the number one. And you're like, no, we're not giving you $11 million. And he's like, yes, you are. And then you're like, no. And he's like, fine. Then I won't sign. And then what? Then you have to go back to get pick 1A the next season? Not necessary. Do the pre-draft deal. It's at this part of the show that I would like to give you my winners and losers of MLB's first 3 rounds of the draft. There are none. Stop it. Don't you dare give me a list of winners and losers out there in the media. You know better. Oh, I know every single college and high school player, and I can evaluate right now who did well according to where they were in my draft board and whether. Give me a break. Every list of winners and losers for the draft is total horse hockey. You have no idea how you do in your draft for years. Oh, but the Anaheim Angels of Los Angeles, they drafted a pitcher who's so close to the big leagues. He's got college experience. We're going to bring him up so soon, maybe even this year, as we try to make the playoffs without Ohtani and with a healthy Trout. Therefore, the draft's fantastic. No. Do you know when we are doing bonuses for our employees, that for scouting bonuses, we were basing it on previous year's drafts? Not on the current year draft? Because how exactly do you evaluate the current year draft? You can't. You don't know whether or not there's going to be an A.J. Ramos, a Butte late round, a Pujols, a Piazza. I mean, there's just a million players. Don't buy into what you're going to read post-draft. Well, look at all the teams who missed out on this player. What a steal at the 69th pick. There are no steals in the MLB draft. It's way too difficult to project. It's way too difficult to know who's going to be good, who's going to make it at all. The general rule is if you can find 50% of the people to do it and to make it to the big leagues for even a cup of coffee, that you've done well in a draft. And remember, if your second round pick is a star, like if you are smart enough to draft Stanton in the second round, as an example, that means you were dumb enough not to take him in the first round. And there was a risk that someone else would take him. That's the whole point of it. Winners and losers. Forget it. Get back to me in a few years. Congratulations, Cooper. Cooper Flagg has made it through his first summer league in Vegas. No arrests, no warrants. No putting money on 42-36 red, 0-0. No betting on sports. No doing anything nefarious except scoring 31 points in Game 2 of Summer League action and then having the Mavericks shut him down. The Summer League has become quite a business venture. The Summer League, for whatever reason, is a place now that is a destination. There are fans going to Vegas. Yeah, it's Vegas, but they're going for the sole reason of they want to see these players play. It's like I've got a friend who's now watching the Bucks rookies in Vegas. I'm like, what? Why? Because what a vibe. You're so close to the players. It's like unrivaled, for crying out loud. You're right on top of them. It's venues and there's excitement and it matters. There's stars and celebrities around everywhere because it's in Vegas. I get it. I really do get it. But the business of the Summer League for the NBA, do you think they'll keep doing it if they put an expansion team in Vegas? Think they'll start rotating the Summer League the way they rotate drafts and rotate other things in order to bring attention and economic visibility and viability to other communities? Or do you just keep it in Vegas because what happens in Vegas stays in Vegas because you have more opportunity because players and coaches and executives want to go to Vegas more than they want to go to WKRP in Cincinnati, whether that's right or wrong, convenient or not? And why would a team shut down Cooper Flagg after 2 games? And my question is, why would they play Cooper Flagg at all? Oh, he belongs in the NBA. Scores 31 points in Game 2, and everyone's saying, oh, he's ready. It's all set. 1 pickup game at the Y, and we're good to go. Come on. We're better than that. Now, in baseball, that would make sense. Let's have them go play, and let's see how they play against other good players instead of other high schoolers or college people, and let's see if they can be ready to be pros. When you draft someone in the NBA or in Major League Baseball, in the National Football League, they are ready. What's the upside of Cooper Flagg in the Summer League if you're the Mavericks? Tell me, what's the one upside? Ticket sales? No, you're not getting that. TV revenue? No. Extra attention? More merch sales for Cooper Flagg? No. The downside is way greater than the upside. And when you have a business proposition where your downside is so much greater than your upside, what does it lead to? It leads to more caution. It leads to more reticence in whether you're willing to do that type of deal. The NBA should be promoting having as many big names at the Summer League as possible and having them sustain and be there and make appearances because they're trying to do their business. That's league business. Teams are incentivized to not pay attention to that. And therefore, Cooper Flagg is done. The Mavericks called up the NBA and said, it's just business. Have fun, Cooper. This is nothing personal.